They said it was a party. They said it was success. They said it was brotherhood. But Kay says it was a trap, a night that started with fame and ended with darkness, drugs, hazing, and a mental breakdown he's still living with today. This isn't about music anymore. This is about what happens behind locked gates when power goes unchecked, and how one Day26 singer claims the industry tried to break him, then laugh while he disappeared. This story doesn't unfold slowly. It hits hard, spirals fast, and never really lets go. He didn't walk into the industry thinking he was walking into danger. He walked in thinking he was walking into destiny. A group formed, cameras rolling, dreams sold, bad boy branding everything like a badge of honor. And at first it all looked clean, professional, controlled, polished. But behind the shine, Kay says there was something else watching him. Not the fans, not the cameras, the inner circle. He talks about power not as a title, but as a presence. A presence that doesn't ask, it expects. A presence that doesn't explain, it tests. And those tests, he says, didn't come with warnings.
He's like, we're about to go to the Hamptons, and it was weird because we never really stayed the night with them, before. It was just weird, like, okay, we gotta go to the Hamptons. What's about to happen in the Hamptons? This is weird.
That's where the tone changes. The Hamptons weren't just a location. In Kay's telling, they were a threshold, a place where the rules changed, where the safety of daylight vanished the moment the gates closed behind them. SUVs speeding, silence in the car, a sense that something unspoken was already decided. This wasn't a casual invite. This wasn't a normal night. This was a test, and Kay didn't even know he was being graded. He admits he was young, early 20s. New to fame, new to trust. And when trust is handed to you wrapped in opportunity, you don't always question it, especially when the people offering it sit at the top of the food chain. That's when the pills enter the story. Not slipped, not forced, presented.
He's like, oh, it's just 2 red pills. She was like, oh, this ecstasy. And she was like, one's for you and one for me, and it's from Puff. So I'm like excited, and then, okay, I take accountability here. I'm gonna slow down. I do take accountability for taking a drug. I was about 22, 21. I was young, but I take accountability, you know what I mean? Because I had a choice. I couldn't have taken that, you know what I'm saying? But I was insisted that it was something that it really turned out to be something else.
That single moment becomes the pivot point of everything that follows. Quay doesn't dodge responsibility. He doesn't pretend innocence. He says it clearly, he took the pill. But what he thought he was taking and what he believes it actually was are 2 completely different realities. And that difference, he says, shattered his life. At first, the body reacts before the mind catches up. Heat, panic, confusion, a feeling that something is wrong, deeply wrong, but no control to stop it. The jacuzzi, people around him, laughter, movement, noise, and then nothing. A blank space where time should be.
Because the pill turned out to be not ecstasy, it turned out to be a horse tranquilizer pill.
That line lands like a hammer, because now this isn't about partying. It isn't about bad decisions. It becomes about what kind of environment allows something like that to happen, and what kind of people watch it unfold. Kay says his memory cuts out. No smooth fade, no warning. One moment he's there, the next, he's gone. Consciousness ripped away like someone flipped a switch. When he comes back, it's not to light. It's not to voices checking on him. It's not to concern. It's to darkness.
I don't remember nothing after that. All I know I remember is I woke up in the basement downstairs in the dark. So when I was down there, I don't know who brought me down there and who put on pants on me, because I was in shorts. So whoever brought me down there had put on some pants on me. I don't know, whoever it was. I don't know, because I was out of it. And then, as you see, I wake up in the video like screaming or whatever out of my sleep. And you can say it's a joke, you can say it's a prank, you can say whatever the hell you want to say it is, like looking at the video. But I didn't take it like that, because I was in the dark for like 7 hours.
7 hours. That number echoes because of what it represents. Time passed, people moving above him, A house still alive while he was unconscious below it. 7 hours where, by his account, nobody helped. Nobody called an ambulance. Nobody stopped the night. And when he wakes up, there's another detail that won't leave him alone. He wasn't dressed the same. Someone had touched him. Someone had moved him. Someone had decided what happened to his body while his mind was gone. That's when the word hazing enters his vocabulary. Not as a joke, not as tradition, but as something dark and humiliating.
I was being harmed, and I use the word sacrifice because that's what it felt like. You know what I'm saying? Being in the dark for that long and then being waken up out of my sleep to someone screaming. And then it looks like, I looked at the video, it looks like his hand went across my my private area and stuff. It just looked very, very, all that shit just looked weird to me, man. And it just felt wrong, and I felt violated. And I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask to be hazed.
This is where the story crosses a line it can't uncross. Because Kay isn't describing embarrassment. He isn't describing regret. He's describing violation and the isolation that follows when nobody acknowledges it. He was the youngest one there, in someone else's house, under someone else's power. And instead of protection, he says he was left alone in the dark. From that night forward, Kay says his mind never fully recovered. The industry moved on. The music kept playing. But inside him, something broke, and it didn't heal quietly.
And now I have to go to mental health every month and get a shot in my arm and shit like I told you earlier because I dealt with trauma of someone trying to hurt me when I got home. I started hearing voices in my head from the effect of the horse tranquilizer pill. I started hearing voices in my head and the voices were telling me that, not to sound extreme, but that's what the voices said, that Puff was going to kill me or they were going to kill me.
This is the aftermath nobody sees in highlight reels. Hospital visits, medication, fear that follows you home. He describes paranoia so intense it reshaped how he thought, how he spoke, how he trusted. Voices where silence used to be. Panic where confidence once lived. And the most terrifying part? He says people around him didn't see a victim. They saw a liability. So the narrative changed. Not what happened to Quay, but what's wrong with Quay.
You know what I'm saying? Why did you just jump to defense and say that, you were there and Day26 was there and as if I'm lying, you know what I'm saying? As if I'm not telling the truth. I didn't like that at all. And I ain't trying to play the victim because I'm a victor, bro. But I just didn't appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? If you were there, then reach out to me, off the internet. Really reach out to me. Why? I didn't know you reached out to Homeland Security and did all this. I ain't know this crazy shit. Here I am being silent about everything because I want peace. But you know what I'm saying? It's not right. When people are lying and saying that it didn't happen when it happened.
Silence becomes survival. Because when you challenge power, the first thing power does is question your sanity. And Quay says that's exactly what happened. The whispers started. The distance grew. And suddenly, the man who went through something traumatic was treated like the problem. He wasn't protected. He was isolated. And the industry, he claims, kept moving like nothing ever happened. But Kay didn't forget. His body didn't forget. His mind didn't forget. And that's why, years later, he's speaking now. Because what happened in that basement didn't stay there. It followed him into every room after, into every relationship, into every thought. This isn't a clean story. It isn't comfortable, and it doesn't wrap up neatly. This is about power, silence, and what happens when young artists are treated like experiments instead of humans. And this is only the beginning. The scariest part of Kay's story isn't just what he says happened that night. It's what happened after. Because when the shock wears off, when the body finally wakes up, when the darkness lifts just enough to breathe again, that's when reality hits harder than any pill ever could. He says the next morning didn't come with answers. It came with confusion, a pounding head, a feeling that something inside him had been altered. Not emotionally, not spiritually, but chemically, like something had been planted where clarity used to live. He remembers waking up and knowing immediately that his mind wasn't right anymore. Not off, not tired, wrong. He says he kept repeating the same sentence over and over, like his brain was trying to warn him. Something's wrong with my head. And when you're young, surrounded by powerful people, and dependent on the system you're questioning, you don't push too hard for answers. You doubt yourself first. You tell yourself you're overreacting. You tell yourself to calm down. That's how silence starts. The industry didn't stop for him. The schedule didn't pause. The cameras didn't turn off. But Kay says internally, everything was unraveling. The paranoia crept in quietly. At first, it felt like anxiety, then fear, then something darker. He describes voices that didn't sound like thoughts, voices that sounded like warnings, accusations, threats, voices that convinced him danger was everywhere. And when he tried to get help, he says the system didn't ask why this happened, it just medicated the result. Doctors, hospitals, heavy prescriptions, labels. Nobody asked what triggered it. Nobody traced it back to that night. Nobody wanted to hear names, because names have power, and power doesn't like being spoken out loud. So the story around Kay shifted. Not he was drugged, not he was violated, but he lost his mind. That label stuck. And once it sticks, it spreads fast. Kay says people around him started distancing themselves. Conversations changed. Invitations disappeared. Instead of concern, there was discomfort. Instead of protection, there was judgment. The same people who watched him spiral now looked at him like he was unstable. That's when he realized something terrifying. The industry didn't just move on from what happened to him. It benefited from his silence. Because a quiet victim doesn't disrupt the machine. And Quay believes the machine was never built to protect artists. It was built to control them. He talks about control, not as chains, but as conditioning. Tests disguised as opportunities. Boundaries pushed slowly enough that you don't realize you're being crossed until it's too late. Hazing, he says, wasn't accidental. It wasn't random. It was a filter. A way to see who breaks. A way to see who stays quiet. A way to see who can be shaped. And once you break, you don't get repaired, you get replaced. He believes that's why no one rushed to help him, why no ambulance was called, why nobody checked on him for hours. Because in that moment, he wasn't a human being, he was a test case. And when the test goes wrong, the system doesn't admit failure, it buries it. He describes how that mindset followed him into everything that came next. Relationships collapsed, trust vanished, every interaction felt loaded, every room felt unsafe. And the cruelest part? He says he started to question his own memory. That's what gaslighting does. You replay the night over and over, asking yourself if you imagined it, if you misunderstood, if you exaggerated. But your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. The fear was real, the confusion was real, the trauma was real. And yet the narrative around him became something else entirely. He wasn't seen as someone who survived something horrific. He was seen as someone who needed to be managed. That's when Quay says he understood how deep the power imbalance really was. Because when you're young, broke, and signed into a system you don't control, your voice isn't just ignored. It's dangerous. Dangerous to reputations, dangerous to legacies, dangerous to money. So instead of accountability, there was distance. Instead of apologies, there was silence. Instead of healing, there was isolation. Kay says he wasn't asking for lawsuits. He wasn't asking for revenge. He was asking for acknowledgement, an apology, an admission, a moment of truth. But those never came. And the longer time passed, the more he realized something else. The story wasn't just about him. It was about a system that thrives on imbalance. Where young talent is disposable, where control is rewarded, where silence is currency. He talks about artists being kept dependent, contracts designed to keep them hungry, fame dangled like bait while ownership stays elsewhere, publishing moved, credit shifted, power concentrated at the top. And when artists break under that weight, they're blamed for not being strong enough. He says the trauma didn't just steal his peace, it stole years of his life. Years spent managing fear instead of creating. Years spent repairing damage instead of building momentum. And the most painful part? Watching the same system that hurt him continue to be celebrated. That's why he speaks now. Not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because silence almost destroyed him. He knows how this sounds. He knows people will doubt him. He knows the comments will be brutal. But he also knows what it feels like to be alone in the dark, and he doesn't want that for anyone else. This isn't a polished confession. It's not a clean expose. It's messy, emotional, unresolved. Because trauma doesn't wrap itself up with a bow. And Quay isn't claiming to have all the answers. He's claiming something much simpler and much harder to dismiss. That night changed him. That system failed him. And pretending it didn't happen only protects the people who already have power. This story isn't about one mansion. It isn't about one pill. It isn't even about one man. It's about what happens when ambition meets exploitation and the cost paid by those who survive it. Kay didn't disappear. He was pushed into silence, and now he's speaking anyway.